Alright, what's going on, guys? You do have to look at my ugly mug for a second before we start. But we're going to have Happy Smurf versus Taz. So I hope you're keen enough to see that one. Anyway, I'm just going to start. Because we're going to have a pretty epic Celt versus Norse by the look of it. I'm keen for this. So it's going to be a repeat, actually, of their third game in the Finbar's Finest third place final. Fingers crossed. We don't have a connection issue. I'm actually going to have to swap this to inland. So I'll do that. Inland. I'll get that panel swapped over now. And we can start this one up. And again, we're not seeing Happy Smurf's Greek. We're seeing his Norse. Bit of an interesting pick. Whereas Taz going for the Celt, that's obviously something we've probably grown pretty familiar with him playing. That and Persia, I think, are probably his main go-to. So, Happy Smurf, again, player number 1 today, as the blue player, which he'd certainly appreciate. He's Norse, although I'm not quite sure why he sent this villager here. He probably would have liked to have just put it straight on the storehouse. Either way, I'm sure he'll fix that up in a sec. And he's found 2 hunts, so he's already going to make good use of the 2 North Scouts on this map. Now it's inland, and we've already been over this, guys, but it does have these little ponds here that spawn with 3 schools of fish each, and you can get anywhere from 3 to 5 of them. So it's a nice map with a little bit of variance in it too. Not every game played on it is going to be the same. In fact, most of them are pretty different from one another, and from matchup to matchup makes some very interesting games. We've got Taz as our player 2 today, the Red Celt. So we've grown to see him play as this colour and this Civ quite a bit against Happy Smurf, because obviously Happy Smurf, huge fan of the blue. Taz with a slight delay on that 10th villager's production there, but he's going to get that up and running, and he'll be pumping out these spears soon, I'd imagine, because he's going to probably want to apply the pressure now that he's gone for that super quick barracks. Well, Happy Smurf is probably going to go for a slightly later barracks, because being Norse as well, they actually start with a little bit less wood. They get the opportunity to use the Scout to actually speed up the build time a little bit. It's not huge though, because their Scouts actually have pretty crappy build times. The North Scout, the Range Scout's not too bad. He's only got a bit of outposts, so they don't have a huge build time anyway. But that build time stat is based off the villager build time, so it's actually quite a bit longer than that. I think Throwing Axeman and Hardjars have the best build times. Throwing Axeman and Hardjar, and one of Ulfinin or Berserker. Then the other one has crappy build time along with Spearman, but it's not quite as crappy as the Scout build times. But yeah, anyway guys, keep that in mind, that when you do see build times on Norse units, unless it's your villager, it's not going to be accurate. So Happy Smurf, again, I have to try and defend this because Taz is stealing his sheep right now. It's a good little pinch there. Minimal Scout damage, and it doesn't look like Happy Smurf's really in the position to try and snatch that back. And right now, Happy's going to have to try and defend while getting the delayed Spearman. And he's taken this wood line over here, which is interesting because it's well outside of the town centre range. He does have the opportunity to go for a wood line here as well. But I think he'll be able to clean this up. The Norse Spearmen are the tankiest in the game at 260 health. The Greek have 230 and the Bab have 250 health. So the Norse Spearmen are actually the tankiest. They've got probably among the lowest damage because they in Egypt don't really hit for very much at all at 10. And the Celt Spearmen, on the other hand, quick to build, very cheap, most damage out of the Spearmen, fastest Spearmen, but they're also among the squishiest. They and Egyptian Spearmen have a really minimal health pool at only about 150. So Happy Smurf actually going to go for an age up here. He's only had to get a small number of spears, and they're 55, so they're pretty expensive per pop. Pretty expensive, sorry, for an age 1 unit, because most of the others, yeah, around 50. Greek and Babylonian have the most expensive at 60. Celts is 40, Egyptians is 45, but then they get cheaper with an upgrade. And right now Taz continuing to pump the spears out, so he's got 5 heading across right now, but he's going to be facing 4 from Happy Smurf, 5 from Happy Smurf right now, so as long as Happy Smurf focuses down targets here, Taz is going to have to back out of this pretty quickly. So it is a bit of a uneven fight in a sense, because Happy Smurf has a bigger investment in the units here. But because of focus, I don't think he's going to pull. Now he's going to start pulling ahead, but it took a little bit longer than it could have because he didn't have the best focus on the units there. Usually you want to just try and select all of yours onto one and kill it as quickly as you can, unless you can one-shot it, or more so with like the big pack of units that you got. Then you actually worry about like splitting it up and stop commanding the units, or just like individually selecting and microing if there's multiple unit types. So Taz having to back off, has his age 2, has handsaw. Happy Smurf hasn't taken handsaw, and Taz seems to be ahead in the stone gathering by a fair bit, actually, up by about 150 there, and already getting a second production facility. Happy Smurf at this stage only has the 1 production facility, has the wood to get the town centre, but he probably could throw down another production facility really, considering Taz is actually opting for a second one here. At the same time, he probably really needs to get more and more stone, actually pull units off the wood onto the gold, off the gold onto the stone, queue and put them on the wood, for instance, and that's sort of the most efficient way to reshuffle the economy in that position where you've got a huge amount of wood, you need to gather more stone, you've got units spread out like that, and then like these guys could go on the stone as well. Wouldn't have had to spend the time trading them, could have got the town center out that little bit faster. So you can use those little tricks to your advantage with, yeah, trying to min-max in terms of catching up. If you haven't played the most optimal build or gathering, at least you can do the most optimal method of catching up, and that's always important to focus on, is that you're not putting yourself further behind simply by the way that you're actually playing the game. Before you even worry about attacking your opponent is, you know, are you macroing properly at that stage of the game? You know, have you got enough villages yet? No. Produce more. Have you got enough villages yet? Yes. Alright, well, get some caravans. See if you can get any docks later on in the game if, you know, that's an opportunity. Otherwise, early on, obviously on a map like this, you probably want to try and take the water as early as you can, really. And Taz actually going for a dock. Happy Smurf in the meanwhile going for the faster town center. Taz actually has well and truly overgathered on stone here. Never got the wood to get both the town center and the dock up. So at this stage, Happy Smurf is going to get this town center up faster. Be down on the water instead. But it's a fairly even trade because you can really only get 3 fishing ships or 4 fishing ships to saturate this. And considering the map layout, it's quite easy to try and snipe individual docks, especially as a civ that has cavalry in Age 2 when your opponent doesn't. Even though the Celts have these very quick infantry and you don't want to have a lot of cavalry against them because their spearmen are really disposable. And then in Age 3 they get horsemen, which are really great at taking fights against cavalry. And Norse's option is obviously raiders who get countered by that. Happy Smurf, 1 villager in production at the moment, even though he's got the second town center up, so he's not making the greatest advantage of that. But he's going to be able to save these workers. He probably could have even just oh no, he's not going to be able to save the workers. He could have actually garrisoned them in the longhouse and then just drop them from there into the town center. You can actually do that, like in that position. Oh, it looks like Taz is going to lose these guys, but he's, yeah, pushed Happy off that stone, though he's already got plenty of stone. Not sure why he's gathering that much when he hasn't got the armory up just yet. But in saying that, yeah, like Happy Smurf could have saved that villager, because if he had have just garrisoned them both in here, he could have then leapfrogged them into the town center, or even left them in here until the units were cleared out, and then just put them straight back on the stone line, back on the gold, on the food, whatever you want. So that's one of the benefits of defending as Norse, is that you actually can save a lot of villages a lot of the time just by garrisoning them in your longhouses, which are basically, you know, 4 times the size, double, extra 50% health, extra, sorry, third of the health pool. Yeah. And you can, yeah, garrison villages in them where you can't in the other houses. Much bigger. Only need to build 12 rather than 24. So Happy Smurf has the temper upgrade on the way, so that's good, because as Norse, Age 2, you're only going to have units that can use that unless you go and play around the range, which almost nobody does, because no one plays that heavily around all range comps that early on anyway. So you can feel free to just rush temper and take advantage of it, because the raiders will use it, the throwing axemen will use it. Even though they're a ranged unit, they're an infantry unit with an infantry damage attack, melee damage. So spearmen as well, yeah, you use it on all the units. Spearmen aren't going to be super helpful until Age 3, so Happy Smurf probably could just queue up a whole bunch of throwing axemen. Spearmen are a nice tank, but at the same time, you might as well just have them throwing axemen, because they're going to get more damage out against the infantry. And there is some raiders in the mix, which is nice, because it means Taz has to produce some spearmen, so his composition can't just be long swordsmen. Otherwise, when they go to attack the raiders, they'll take that long to kill them. They'll just die to throwing axemen fire. And they can be used to, yeah, aggressively push around the map, scout things out, deny things. Town center going up, or being attempted right here by Taz, but it's where Happy Smurf intends to actually park all of his raiders, so he's actually going to deny the town center, because he's going to attack the wall pretty much right on top of it. So that really works out in Happy Smurf's favour. Taz, having taken the quick Age 3 behind this, I did miss that. But yeah, the town centre being sniped there by Taz, who's taking a defensive market here. Going to try and macro up the advantage over his opponent, but Happy Smurf is not letting be able to do that, because these raiders are going to be able to snipe a caravan or two, or just cause some mayhem. Happy Smurf is doing what he can to not lose them. So he's going straight for the stone miners, forcing some to be pulled back into the army, and just running from there. Going to deny that building attempt, deny this other one because the stables are coming out now. So Happy Smurf himself is going to want to get age 3 behind this. So he's actually cut his villager. Oh no, there we go. He's queuing up a bunch more raiders. So it's a bit strange. Wouldn't think he'd want to do that, considering once the horsemen are out, the raiders can't just come through like that so easily, because the horsemen are going to be that bit faster than the spearmen and the longswordsmen. And the Celt, now that he's age 3, can even get woads, who are going to be as fast as cavalry, or just about. So Taz going for that town centre attempt there, which is really nice in a sense, because once it is up, it offers a good defensive boon. Like, the wall's going to be hard to take out, the wood line's going to be hard to take, the gold mine's going to be hard to take out, and he's got another gold mine and the market in behind it. So it's a good little pocket town centre, really defensive, and it means that if he does get sacked over here, and he can always have an emergency market on this side that's even potentially a longer travel distance, and swap to that instead and just clear these walls out. So he's actually on this lake now with the 2 fishing ships. Happy Smurf hasn't yet taken a lake. Villager counts 53 to 34. So Happy Smurf, villager production wise, is really struggling compared to Taz, who hasn't really dealt much harass damage to him, and likewise Happy Smurf has only dealt a minor blow with those raiders there, and then ultimately losing them all, probably throwing away a bit more than he really gained out of that wall segment attempt there by Taz, but then he's not actually finished it there. So gold mine there for Taz, and I can't see any other gold gatherers, just 12 in there, so that's great, because once that's out, he can probably split them into 2 groups of 6, take a gold mine here, 1 down here, same thing, have a mine there so that they're actually not easy to kill, because there's a 2000 health buffer before you can start attacking the workers. And yeah, the Celt can really have a nice defensive position from here. It is quite a big map. The Norse player also is going to need to wall off, and doesn't have a lot of favourable... Well, I suppose he does have this bit, so he can really just have a wall there and there maybe. But then he sort of creep forward on the map. But yeah, Happy Smurf, bit of an exposed position still here really, because Taz has really walled off on this side and has, yeah, quite a nice defensive start really. Probably slightly better than Happy's, considering this is his... Actually, sorry. Yeah, this is his main town centre down here. I do like how he's put all those farms there, but he's going to have to struggle to defend against this. So getting the spearman at this stage isn't such a bad idea, because he's so late on the age 3. But in saying that, if he has more stables, if he had taken the fast age 3, he could have horsemen of his own. And I do think the Norse horsemen are stronger. 75-40, what are they? 65-50. But the sniping of the farms here by Taz puts a lot of pressure on Happy Smurf, because he's got to spend 300 wood already to replace that, and that means that's enough to get another town centre. So if he commits to the farms, he delays it a whole cycle. And in terms of villages, that's quite a big number, because he's already behind the villager count, only at 39, Taz at 68. So Happy Smurf unfortunately struggling with the villager production here. Now getting a bunch more in queue, but he's down a town centre, already behind the villager count, doesn't have the market yet, and Taz has a nice bank of everything except his stone. He really probably just needs 1 or 2 more stone gatherers, and he's in a really nice spot right now. Happy Smurf's starting to really linger behind the score. He really probably needs to look at, yeah, taking a market, trying to get on one of these docks, trying to deny one here of Taz's, and he really needs to get a big bunch. No, Raiders, no, why no Raiders, why? You don't need Raiders, man, just, you need horsemen. Oh, in saying that, he is going to need some Raiders to deal with any bowmen, because there is some infantry there, so he's going to want infantry of his own to deal with that, like through Hajars or throwing axemen. And because he'll have infantry, Taz can get the bowmen, so the raiders aren't entirely useless, but that's only just now that they really become relevant in Age 3. And at the same time, there is 7 horsemen to deal with, so without any horsemen here to defend against those, he's going to have to try and use the raiders, and then they're directly countered by the unit they're trying to stop from harassing, and it's just a really tough position to put yourself in. So ideally you want to try and get the horsemen out first, take a fight and see if he's got the bowmen, and that's when you actually follow up with the raider production in this sort of situation if you're already behind. Personally, that's what I would do. But yeah, guys, feel free to sort of discuss that in the Twitch channel chat. But yeah, really he sort of could have anticipated the horsemen here, because Taz had already gone for some. Not having any himself here, it's going to be tough for Happy, because I mean now he can turn this around, but if Taz has continued horseman production and he does still have a couple here, he can't get on the bowman for free. Happy Smurf is now playing a little bit passively, trying to get a bit of catch up here. His score is actually not that badly off, so even though Taz was taking some nice aggressive fights there, probably threw away the cavalry without denying a huge amount, and Happy Smurf isn't trailing by as much as he was. Taz also having spent up quite a bit of his bank though, so he's actually up by only about 25 pop here. I think he does have a slight upgrade advantage, which is his armory. So he's got age 2 and 3 damage, and he's got age 2 melee armor. And Happy Smurf on the other hand has age 2 melee damage and no melee armor. Neither player has a range, damage or armor upgrade, so Taz, yeah, slightly ahead there in the armor and damage upgrades department. And the Woads here, some nice harass, because they are, yeah, again, 9 speed infantry, basically the fastest infantry in the game, able to pull off cavalry like hit and runs. Especially, yeah, they can actually charge at units, so that's really, really nice. And they can fight 1-to-1 with age 2 and 3 infantry that aren't counter infantry. So all the spearmen and Sparrow, things like that. They can take good fights against them. They can, yeah, snipe villages, really roam around the map. And only cavalry can really deal with them in terms of chasing them. Only anti-infantry can really bring them down, because they're so tanky and so strong as a infantry unit. But yeah, Taz does get cleaned up there in the end, but not before dealing a bit more harass to Happy Smurf. He's now on 63 villages, Happy, but Taz all the way up to 90. So a fairly big villager lead still here, and there are some horsemen there, which Happy Smurf is unaware of. Meanwhile, Taz can obviously see the edge of the wall, and he's prepping to actually take a fairly aggressive dock here, or a fairly greedy one. I suppose he can always look at doing both, because if he gets a warship out here and here, he can get on the fish pretty easily, and also deny his opponent's opportunity to raid through here, scout it if he's coming through here, that sort of thing. Got a number of villages to try and get the dock up fast, but I think Happy Smurf might be able to see this. No! Oh, that's a bit unlucky. It's really unlucky, Happy. I'm sorry about that, man. Oh, section of wall going down. Happy Smurf getting some units in to prepare for this, but again, no horsemen from him, so against a full horseman raiding comp from Taz, they can actually take fights against small pockets of units of that. Trade positively and back out, because all he needs to do is just, yeah, snipe the raiders and back out. Even though they're not an overly expensive unit, they are more expensive than the Throwing Axemen at least. And you get the nice counter against them at 3 times 23. So yeah, you're hitting for 69 damage, Kappa, against the other cavalry, basically. Well, minus whatever armor they've got, but Happy Smurf doesn't have an armor upgrade, yeah, so you take the full 69. Happy Smurf trying to take some walls here in the meantime, but Taz pushing in with a much bigger army here. He's H4 and maxed out in population. Happy Smurf taking this fight 30 down, and he's already about 45 down right now, so things are going to be really rough for him. Some more units coming in here for Happy Smurf, but it's now he's got the horsemen when he doesn't need them. Now that he's been going for the Horsemen, introducing them later, now is when he actually needs the Raiders, because the Celt has a critical mass of the Bowman. This is when you really need the good Raiders numbers. So ideally, yeah, when you take that age 3, you probably want to get the few Horsemen out just to deal with any Horsemen the Celt's got before you worry about getting the Raiders out, and that's when you actually need them, when the Celt has 25, 30, 40 Bowmen, and you need something quick to get in there, snipe them and get out. But I think Happy Smurf has bit the dust on this one, because Taz just has so much in the bank, is maxed out, has 5 upgrades in queue, and Happy Smurf down to 110 population. GG is called, and unfortunately for our friend Happy Smurf, he's unable to keep up with Taz's composition there in that game. And there was a slight macro advantage through the fishing ships and the work account as well, guys. So GG to both our players for game number 1. But yeah, big eco lead there for Taz overall in that game, despite the fact that neither player had particularly decisive raiding efforts in one another. It's just that Happy Smurf sort of, yeah, I think fell behind a bit on the work account there. And didn't seek to expand around a map which is really prone to, yeah, quite expansive play. Taz has got a bit of an interesting setup to his base layout here, has quite a nice starting spawn really, but yeah, you rarely get a bad spawn as either player on this map. So GG well played to both of them, and we're going to go to game number 2 in a minute. Alright, yeah, so that wasn't a nice game 1 there. I wonder if Happy Smurf is going to look at switching. Oops. Actually, I think they've both swapped, actually. So, get them both back in the party. What have we here, guys? We've got a mirror matchup coming up right now on Mountain Crossing, so this will be interesting. A very, very cheesy, very interesting map. A larger map, but one that, yeah, has the players quite close together. There's not a huge amount of resources on the map, but there is plenty of fish. And we've got a mirror out of Greeks. And we're going to start it off. So Taz, victorious in game number 1, but we'll see if Happy Smurf has what it takes. I have my faith in him. I think he's got what it takes to do it now that he's on his main civ in a mirror matchup against Taz. But Taz, not to take away from him, he is quite strong and has often got the better of Happy Smurf. So GVG on Mountain Crossing, best map in the game. You guys know it, I know it, the devs know it, Carnage knows it. We've got Happy Smurf spawning. It's player number 1 today, the Blue Greek. So this is how we are used to seeing Happy Smurf. This is his element right now. And he's up against Taz, who's on Greek himself. And he has played a bit of Greek, but he's more known for his Celt. And it'll be interesting to see how we go in this one today. Whether either player uses the fact that this map is pretty cheesy, and it looks like there might be a little opening there to actually fit in another dock. So likewise there, you probably only have to chop that one tree to fit in there. So likewise, yeah, both players here have water lines that are potentially proxy dockable. Believe me, anything less than 3 trees is choppable, guys. Like, honestly, trust me, just trust me. I know from experience, if there's only 2 trees there or 1 tree, just chop the bloody thing down. Build a storehouse here with 2 villages, chop the bloody thing down, wall off, get a dock, get a tower, Just keep gathering with the villagers, or delete a segment of the wall, get them out, put it back up again, and yeah, have the time of your life. But anyway, I don't want to distract you with all that babble. Taz has gone for an early dock. Happy Smurf has gone for early spears. So the classic greed from Taz versus aggression from Happy Smurf on this map. Seeing it right now in a mirror. Happy Smurf actually going on the stone mine as well. 4 villagers on the hunt. Probably needs to get a 5th or a 6th over there. 5th and a 6th, I'd say. Unless he looks to take the dock soon. I think he's probably skipping ahead to get the stone mine a little bit early. Now he probably, yeah, just needs to get... Probably should have just got a wood storehouse there. Skip the house for a sec. Meantime, Taz has a house here instead of... I don't know if he meant to put a storehouse there because it's right on the edge of the TC range. But it's, yeah, it's going to offer a good buffer for the villagers at least, because he is going to be expecting the spears to come in, so it's going to offer a bit of a defensive advantage there, but at the same time, it's perhaps a little early, and he probably needs to try and squeeze out the second fishing ship if he wants to be able to repair and defend with the fishing ships, or potentially just try and gather through it. But he does have a lot of villagers gathering from that hunt, so he'll be able to finish that all off by the time he moves back into getting on this water, I think, again. He's only on the one fishing ship there. At the same time, that's enough to just repair through spear harass with only 3 or 4 spears. And he is getting a barracks of his own right now for 2 villagers, so he should be okay to defend against this, I think. Happy Smurf is going to have to take the long way through. I don't know if he's actually scouted the hunt, so Happy Smurf flying blind here does see the barracks, but there's too many villagers here for him to deny it, I think. He's going to go rally straight onto the villagers. And he will get a couple. Oh, he might not get those. So Taz is going to finish this, but he is going to be denied over here in the meantime. So no wood gathering for him for the time being. And the dock is being attacked now. And the scout comes in just to offer his... What's he going to do? 4 damage? Probably only 1 to the building. Fishing boat coming in to repair. Oh no, coming in just to deposit. So Taz is eventually going to have to turn around and clean this up. He's going to get some spears in the mix. But this one is just going to chase the scout for now. Happy Smurf can save that spear by just pulling him to the back, and he does. So really, it's a nice micro there from Happy Smurf, making sure to just save this low guy. Just double checking. Always good to be proactive about that. And he is going to get these initial spears. But he doesn't have much more himself here. He's got some spears back to defend, and he's walling off his own base in the meantime, but he's not following up with anything more with this aggression. Happy Smurf attempting to run now, but Taz is committing to more spears of his own. Happy Smurf has still only got age 1. Taz is taking his age 2 right now, and is up by 2 population, sorry. So Happy Smurf playing fairly defensively now, wants to make sure no funny business is going to go on in this game. Taz, in the meanwhile, defending pretty well there. Got the spears out in time. Didn't really lose anything. Bit of damage on the villager, but basically unscathed through that, picking up those spears. Being denied a bit of gathering time, but it's no problem at all. He's on the range now in age 2. So he's a production facility and that age up ahead right now. Happy Smurf getting some more villagers just behind the population. 22 villagers to 21. So Happy Smurf, slightly sloppier villager production in this game. And unable to get a villager kill or 2 there. Actually, I suppose it's... Oh, Taz has the 3 fishing boats. Happy Smurf doesn't have any yet. So 24 to 22. Happy Smurf has 1 villager ahead, but Taz, in the meanwhile, has those 3 fishing boats advantage. So sorry about that. Happy Smurf slightly... Oh no, sorry, the age up as well. Yeah, Happy Smurf's basically been 2 villagers behind, plus those fishing ships then. Because he's still got age up. Sorry about the rambling, guys. I'm just sort of working out where they're at. So yeah, Happy Smurf, because he's aging up, he's going to be stuck at 24 villages, other than what he gets out of the dock for a sec. And Taz, in the meanwhile, at 25 overall, has his dock out, has the Age 2 finished. He's looking at possibly taking a second dock. Don't know why he's taking his storehouse in that spot, because it's sort of a crappy spot. Why not take it there? 2 resources? Question mark? A wall. Going up now for Taz. Happy Smurf has his low scout there. I don't know if Taz knows about this, but Happy Smurf is going to see that. He's going to see the elephant go down. But 2 resource, 1 resource. Question mark? Now Happy Smurf catching up on the fishing ships. Taz hasn't actually taken net lures yet. That second town center for Taz going up now. Taz a little bit ahead of Happy Smurf in that sense, because he still needs 80 wood to get his second town center out. Happy Smurf in the meanwhile slightly ahead in terms of the population now, so actually has a good number of infantry here. He's been mass producing spears before he aged up, and now he's got high pass bursts as well. So he may be able to win this fight if he brings all of his army. So he's actually left all these guys behind. And he's looking at just doing a bit of a hit and run here, but he's a bit too late to try and snipe this town center. Might get some villager kills though. I'd like the name of Taz's Greek. So 7 villagers having a garrison there. These guys just idling. And now Taz is going to have the units to clean this up, because he's got a Toxotes in the mix as well. Happy Smurf trying to run away, but rallying straight past the other town center too. Happy Smurf seeing what's up here as well. Hypaspis v Hypaspis. It's an interesting seeing the different sort of gear in the game. They're really Eastern styled. On Taz, they're really more Egyptian and Middle Eastern and Med sort of style. I'm happy there. Alright, so an academy going up for Taz. Happy Smurf finishing his second town center. Going for another archery range as well. No armory yet for Taz, and he's only on the 2 production facilities. Population wise, Taz up by 12 and village counts 38 to 41. So Happy Smurf not that far behind in villager count this game, considering he was a mile behind in the last game. And he's gone up to fishing ship, 5 fishing ships, sorry. He loves doing that actually, for some reason. So he's going to run out of fish here quite quickly, but at the same time he's going to gather lots of food quite quickly. So as long as he can keep on top of his gold income, then he'll be able to keep producing the units. But he's only got the 6 villages on the gold, and he's got plenty more villages on food, which he doesn't need at the moment, considering he's banking it up. Taz in the meanwhile also having the similar problem to a slightly lesser extent. Only a little bit of gold, and he's only got 4 villages on the gold, and he's got a reasonable amount of food, and looks to be taking the second lake as well. So he's really going to have to look at taking any extra villages off the food, because he's gathering from this berries from that snow mine. Get them on the gold mine so he can get the units out that he needs. So both players fairly defensive setups by now. And Happy Smurf pulling ahead in population because Taz is housed with only villagers in production by the look of it. Yeah. And taking in armory now. He's going to get faster upgrades out than Happy Smurf because he's taken that H2 upgrade, which increases your upgrade train speed. And there's no upgrades yet out of Happy Smurf's armory. Farms starting to come out from our friend in blue. Taz starting to saturate this top side lake now, so he's going to start getting a bit of an eco advantage out of that, and he probably needs it because Happy Smurf has managed to actually bank up a little bit more than him in the meantime, and is looking to start, yeah, getting a nice 3 production facility type unit comp out of this because he's going to have that Saris added in the mix now. Taz has really only got, yeah, Toxotes and Hypaspis by now. A couple of spears as well from when he was in age 1. And Happy Smurf could actually push right now, I think. Has that small eco lead, has a tiny population lead over his opponent as well. Really could look at taking advantage of that. 69 workers to 55 actually, so Happy Smurf lagging in terms of villager production, but definitely has a bigger army, so I think he could push right now. And Taz looks to be pushing, which is probably not the best situation for him to be in because he doesn't necessarily have a huge amount in the bank, and he's going to lose a lot if the Saris don't just... Oh, sorry, I take that back. The Saris are just going to take the spears and die. So Happy Smurf really could have pushed in then with everything and pulled the Saris in at the last second to actually just chip away the Toxotes. Really could have swallowed up Taz's army for free considering the unit size. I mean the army size disparity. Taz just sacrificing all of his infantry at this stage, getting some Hypaspis out now. And some more spears behind it as well because he needs them to deal with any Saris once they come out. Some Prodromos who are in queue for Happy Smurf, but because there's no Saris, and because there's no Prodromos for Taz, there's not even a stables for Taz, they're not going to be the most optimal unit choice. Happy Smurf could honestly just build Hypaspis and Toxotes himself in this situation, or maybe add in some Peltas and maybe a mix of Hoplites and Hypaspis. Or even just keep getting more Saris too, because the Saris obviously going to be more useful against the Toxotes than anything else, and just keep them away from the spears instead of having them just in front of the army like that. Saying that Happy Smurf has a small population lead over Taz again. A bit behind on score, but its score is deceiving. He's getting some good upgrades behind all this, but I think he's got all 4 of these queued up in the one storehouse, which is a bit of a bummer. If he had them queued up across 4 storehouses, he could get all 4 upgrades at roughly the same time and have it, yeah, really quite quick. Taz committing quite a lot to defending this water. He's got 3 towers, got a town centre going up, and he's going to be able to defend that water quite nicely. So that's a good strategy for him, but it also means that Taz, because he's putting so much emphasis on there, is leaving all this for Happy Smurf, and Happy Smurf is still going to have an easy time of trying to get on these gold mines here as well. They're just as close to him as they are to Taz still, so but village counts 88 to 70. Taz now catching up in the population overall, and that 18 Vil lead is going to mean that Taz will slowly start to be able to pull ahead in terms of his gathering from now. Prodromos is coming in to try and focus down this gate and then trying to get in here and deal some economic damage, but Taz may be able to respond to this in time. He's starting to get hoplites, but I don't know if he's got any stables yet. So only one villager being finished off there by Happy Smurf, but he could have completely denied that armory by sniping the other villager and then destroying the armory. And he is going to get a caravan for his troubles, forcing another re-wall there from Taz as well. But Taz does have a little bit in the bank, a little bit more in terms of population. The army of Taz, though, isn't so well equipped to actually deal with a bunch of Prodromos. So Taz trying to throw up a quick wall, but it's only going to make it hard for his own units to chase, I think. So Taz's army is having to take the long way around to try and chase this and only come in from one angle. Happy Smurf is going to be able to get out of there. And even going to try and pick off this worker finishing the stable. So he is going to get that worker too. But now he's run into a huge wall of towers. Taz has invested lots into the towers. So I was wondering why it was taking so long for him to get an economic advantage over Happy Smurf, considering he had the lake and he had about 18 villages advantage there. But that'd be why he's actually spent a huge amount on towers there. Yeah, he spent 1,500 resources on towers there. I mean, bearing in mind he's got 10 out of it, but still, Happy Smurf is going to have to commit to siege to try and get through that, or be really, really smart about how he gets in to his opponent's base. There's still a small opening here, so Saris or Prodromos could obviously sneak through that, hit the corners of the base, get as far away from all the towers as possible, but still be in the base. I think there is only one, two, oh now there's 3 stables, yeah, so Taz now starting to catch up on the stables count. Happy Smurf all the way up on the 6, well up on 4, trying to get a 6. Lots of upgrades in queue for Happy Smurf here too, so he's looking at spending up everything he's got. He might be leaving himself a bit gold shy because he's only got this one deposit. Oh, he's got 2 inside the confines of his base, so he really needs to get on top of them though so he can continue spending up more. But in saying that, he isn't trailing Taz by a huge amount. And once the upgrades kick in, he might be able to take a fight though. He's getting some defensive upgrades like Ashlar Masonry. He upgraded his towers, he upgraded his walls. So he's taking really defensive options with his spending right now, and he probably could still look at getting damage somewhere around the map. Like before that second set of walls I got up, there's only one set of walls here, so you could really look at denying that quite quickly, as well as baiting a fight in the mid map here. But Taz now has pulled ahead on the population, so Taz doing a good job at that, getting a good number of upgrades too. Only has the last of his Age 3 upgrades to take behind all this. In saying that, he's pushing under Happy Smurf's town center, fortress fire. And there's a huge amount of front line here for Happy Smurf, and not a huge amount of front line for Taz. And 95 villages to 68. Taz still had probably a slightly bigger army overall, but I don't know if he brought everything with it there. So he just seemed to really get overwhelmed by Happy Smurf. And Happy Smurf, upgrades wise, Happy Smurf is actually behind on upgrades. So neither armor upgrade for Happy Smurf, no damage upgrade, second damage upgrade for his Toxotes. So Taz really losing a tough fight there, because he was sort of still up in terms of army count, in terms of overall population, in terms of macro. But this is going to open him up, leave him open to get rams. So, okay, this is where all the units must have been, or some of the units. He's really going to try and apply the pressure with this proxy push here. He's got barracks units, he's got, well, barracks is out of train units, he's got range over this side as well. It's all sort of walled up, so it's a bit hard for Happy Smurf to see what's going on here without coming through here, and he hasn't. So there are these rams here, and I don't think Happy Smurf is going to know about it until the last second. Yeah, so there's not a lot of range in the vision of those walls, not a lot of line of sight. Happy Smurf going to try and raid down the bottom side, and he's going to be able to catch something of Taz's here, I believe, but he's going to have to respond back here in his own base too. So more rams pouring in. The army could probably even come in here and chip away at the walls just to get them down faster too. Happy Smurf having to bring the Prodromos back, although he has the rest of his army here, so he could have used them to deal with that while continuing to apply pressure with the Prodromos. The Prodromos probably going to be the best at trying to bring down the rams, but they haven't even got champion yet, so their bonus against siege isn't as big as it could be. Is it? Do you get more siege? Yeah, you do get more siege damage. And because there is an army here for Taz, Happy Smurf is going to have to clean this up as well, and he's going to have to bring some of his army up anyway to deal with this. I think he probably could just look at pushing with all this down here on Taz's base, so this isn't actually so well defended. There's lots of villages to be picked off down here as well. And Taz continuing to push into Happy Smurf, force out more walls from him. Golden Age now from Taz. Still up by about 9 population. Still up by a fair bit of resources in the bank too. He's still got about 8,000 in the bank. Happy Smurf in the meanwhile. Not quite so much. Only about 4,500. So not so much for him. And some rams coming out now for Happy Smurf, but he's not in as quick of a position to be able to use them, so they've got to come all this way or all this way, and there's also a lot more in the way of defensive fire here for Taz than Happy Smurf has on this angle of his base, and there is double ram production there as well. There's some towers to defend, so this is going to be really interesting to see how Happy Smurf responds to this. He's deciding to back out here, even though he's potentially got the unit advantage, sans the towers, but there are some Prodromos coming in. Happy Smurf in the meanwhile, gonna have to do something to clean up that. Has a nice number of walls there on his other side of his base, and repelling Taz for now, but potentially overextending there, losing some more units, taking some more town center fire. And he does have a good number of units here, so he could send everything in here and destroy all this if he wanted to, but he's just got all these army units idling right here, so he probably could just push. He could even just push all this way through Taz's base, I think. But Taz, in the meanwhile, could obviously just parade push into Happy's base from up here, so it's a bit of an interesting spot for both players to be in, but I think Happy Smurf is sort of locking up a little bit. He needs to try and get as much gold as he can to keep up with Taz right now, so economically he is trailing him a little bit. He has his own Age 4 now, but doesn't have the Age 4 town center just yet. He's going to look at taking it here, and he is going to look at pushing now, so he probably could have done this a little bit earlier, but now that he is, he's going to force Taz to have to respond. But in the meantime, because Taz has had Age 4 for long enough to get the ballistas, it actually is going to make it hard for Happy Smurf, because the ballista can, unlike the rams, actually contribute in the fights as well, so they're a much more pressing unit to try and deal with than the rams, so you can sort of decide, well, okay, that ram's on the building, I'm going to destroy it, and then I'll just focus the army until I have to worry about cleaning the rest of the rams up. You don't get that opportunity with the ballistas, because they've got lovely ranged area damage fire. They can focus any units, so yeah, you don't get that sense of safety that rams, too many rams in your opponent's army offers. Like, there's 4 ballistas there and they're going to deal heaps of damage, picking off villages and stuff caught in the splash there. Meantime, yeah, bit of a base trade going on now, but Happy Smurf doesn't have as much in the bank, so it's going to be much more difficult for him to replenish anything behind this, whereas Taz can obviously keep building. He can get another town center out, and already has one more town center down. Well, he's already got his 4th finished. Happy Smurf hasn't actually finished his 4th town center yet, so he's never been able to max out behind this, and I don't know if he actually realizes that, and it's going to be quite tough, because with 4 ballista in the mix, oh, Happy Smurf is going to snipe them with the workers. This is really nice to see. So with the worker snipe on the ballista, nothing's really actually attacking them yet, so you might even be able to get 1 or 2 of them. And there is a base race going on over this side, so Taz is starting to lose some buildings like houses and stuff, and some production facilities. But he does have production up on here, of course, as well. He does manage to clean up the workers, but not before they pick off 2 of the ballistas. So it's nice from Happy Smurf to see him do that, but oh, that's rough. He's going to lose this town center, I think, and I don't know how much he's got left to push. And we have a GG, guys. Man, that was interesting. Bit of a base race situation there. This 2 is just a bit too big to fit there. Alright, so yeah guys, sorry about the delay there. GG, well played to both players. Thank you for coming along, both Happy Smurf and Taz, and for your games today. But yeah, unfortunately Happy Smurf defeated twice in a row there. Taz walking away with the 2-0 and getting a nice eco lead in both games there. 19k resources over his opponent there in the end. So 80 villagers, 57 the final count, but obviously Taz would have probably sniped a couple more considering he had the ballistas there. Is she alright? I don't know if she's alright. She seems... I don't know if she's done or what. Anyway, yeah, thank you for tuning in, guys. And I think the players are happy that they got to have a Greek v Greek game. So, GG, well played. Happy Smurf, only slightly behind the text that game, actually, in terms of the unit production. And I'll see you guys probably next weekend, I'd say. I don't know about the next game, but Vahuva, unfortunately, is going to have to pull out of it, and I haven't heard back from anybody else yet about taking part in it, so... Oh, it's Ardashir on the mic. Yeah, so... Vahuva's unfortunately had to pull out of the next game. So... sorry, Ace, but I'll have to get you to sign up next week again. And Happy Smurf just saying these matches teach us a lot. Maybe I can learn more civs, that'd be cool. Maybe we can get Happy Smurf to be a cheesy Babylonian main, or a hero Egyptian main, or something like that. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I will try and organise something next weekend, and I'll see you around. Cheers.